Welcome to Uncle's channel. Thanks for watching today, and let's continue our journey to finish every single Game Boy and Game Boy Color game. Today focus on a game called Gex, Enter the Gecko for the Game Boy Color. Now, as a companion piece to the N64 or the PlayStation 1 game of the same title. However, they took a 3D platformer and basically sort of demade it into a 2D platformer, but somehow kept all the same core aspects, same enemies, same characters, same levels, same exploratory nature, and they just simply converted over to the 2D environment here. It's actually pretty darn impressive when you look at exactly what they did with the source material. Now, obviously, some of the quips and the jokes that Gex has that makes Gex who he is missing from the Game Boy Color version, but still, it's an overall fun adventure here, but it's not perfect. It is going to be flawed. We're going to figure all that out and more as we journey through Gex, Enter the Gecko. And now I start the videos up, link the box art for the game first, and the box art is pretty much identical to the console release. You have Gex right there in the center, his James Bond outfit, shooting his little laser gun off. Obviously a play on 007. GoldenEye was hugely popular at the time, trying to cash in a little bit on that. However, in the console version, you actually got to change outfit depending on the level. You actually got to dress up as James Bond. In the Game Boy Color version, you do not get to do that. You just have to play as regular old Gex pretty much the entire time. However, if you bought this game, you were looking for a demake of the console version, and you're going to get it in pretty much every other way. So therefore, the cover here, it matches up pretty well for the game. But now when you load the game up here, you have the title screen, which is pretty much identical to the box art. A secondary title screen of Gex leaned up next to some broken down television sets. You can start the game, or you'll use a password system. When we start the game, you're immediately transported into the Media Dimension hub world. And the Media Dimension hub world here basically allows you to traverse this entire, I don't really know how I'd call it, platforms in the sky, I guess. And you basically traverse this searching for television sets that you can hop into and be transported into that individual world to collect remote controls from. When you collect enough remote controls, then you can unlock other areas in the hub world, which is going to lead to more television sets that you can hop into. And you're going to progress throughout all of these until you get to the final television set and take down the final villain, and his name is Rez. And so to some degree, it's very akin to like Super Mario 64, where the castle is there, you traverse the castle, you find paintings, hop into the paintings, explore that world, collect the stars, and then you unlock other areas to explore in the castle. So Gex pretty much took the exact same formula, except replaced the paintings with television sets, and the hub world functions pretty much identical to that. And it's very true to the N64 game version of Gex as well. Even the hub world here looks very similar to the N64 hub world. And so they really did try hard to make this game as similar to the N64 as possible. Now you're going to notice, like when you're in the hub world here and you're learning the basic controls, that your A button is your attack button and your B button is your jump. And this is reversed from pretty much every other platformer I've played on the Game Boy Color. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to, and I have no idea why they would ever do it this way unless like a mistake from the developers here, or maybe they're like one really stubborn developer on the team who's like, no, the B button will be jump. I will quit the team if you do not make it to jump. And it was just somebody who was really stubborn, like, hey, we need this guy on the team. Let's let the B button be the jump. I don't know. It's just really, really bizarre. It's going to throw a lot of players off pretty fast. Even like when you're in the menu, if you want to select something, you press B, which is always back. But anyway, a really weird choice of controls here. But anyway, in the hub world, you really only have two television sets that you can choose from initially. You can either go into the Scream dimension, which is like a horror movie here, or you can go into a Toon TV, which can be like basically a Looney Tunes environment. I go into the Scream dimension first, and there are 3 missions that you can choose from. You can either survive the Haunted Mansion, smash 5 blood coolers, or ride the haunted elevator. Now, whichever one you choose is going to show you like a little cutscene of exactly where you need to go inside the level in order to access the exit television or the exit remote here and achieve that particular remote. And I actually think that's a pretty cool feature to have like a little preview of where you need to go inside the level to achieve that particular goal. It's not necessarily a requirement, but it is like a nice little quality of life feature that most platformers don't do. Now, I choose the first mission, which is going to be the Survive the Haunted Mansion. Basically get to the end of the level here. And I have to say, like, the level looks pretty darn fantastic as far as like creating a Halloween-y type setting. Because you have of course, the Haunted Mansion aesthetic here. Little candles or lanterns in the background. Stairways galore. You're going to encounter things like bats and zombies and ghosts and knights that have like little axes that come down and try to chop your little gecko head off. You have little floating furniture all the way around. You have like little bookcases. Some old classic artwork in the background, the Mona Lisa, as well as like some haunting pictures of Van Gogh. Like, there's a lot of effort that was put into the design of this level, And it really does shine through. And I really think they put a lot of effort into this level because it's going to repeat multiple times throughout the game. And so they want to have as in-depth or as much variety as possible. Now, when you're figuring out the controls for Gex here, like I said, the A button is going to be like a little attack, spin your tail. B allows you to jump in the air. If you press B and then you have to press up and B at the same time when you come down, you actually do like a secondary jump or a bounce on your tail rather for a higher jump into the air. And so that's sort of a cool move you're going to have to utilize a lot throughout the game. And there's also like certain walls that you can climb on. And I have to say, like, this was a little bit of a disappointment to me because I played the original Gex back on the 3DO quite a bit growing up. I go to a friend's house and I didn't have a 3DO and I never heard of Gex, and I would always be like, hey man, you want to play some Gex? So he got pretty tired of Gex, but you know, he was a kind host, and he pretty much always allowed me to play Gex until I had my fill. But regardless, anyway, you could always climb on the walls in the 2D version of Gex on the 3DO, and in this game you can only climb on some walls, and it's like, come on, like how hard would it have been to allow you to climb on all the walls? I guess it would have broken some of the mechanics in the game, but it would have been a heck of a lot more fun if you could have done that. And as you're going through here, there are some TVs that you smash, and you get like checkpoints, you get like little flies that come out, and the flies give you different power-ups or like different lives or extra health, and you have to press the select button to shoot your little gecko tongue out and eat the fly. If you don't do that, you don't get the power-up, but at the same time, sometimes you want to save the fly, and so like as far as like for later in the level, like you have full health already, you don't want to waste the fly. You just simply rest on your shoulder or over here, and eventually if you finally do get hit, then press the select button and eat the fly. I think it's a cool little mechanic. I think it's a good idea. And so like this game has a lot of positives that I'm pointing out here. However, there is one really huge negative in the game. And that once again goes back to the jump ability. Now, like I said, it's already weird that it's the B button. That's not a huge problem. You'll get used to it as you play the game. However, like some of the platforms that you're jumping to, the hitbox, I guess what would be called, where you're having to jump to, so it's not really hitbox, I guess the edge of the platform is not as clear as it should be. Like sometimes you'll think you'll hit the edge of the platform and you simply fall right through the platform. So it's not like detection boxes are not super well done for the platforming. And also, a lot of times when you press the B button to jump, I'd say there's a 5% chance in the game that you will not jump. I don't know if there's like a like overload in the code or whatnot, but you press the B button and sometimes your character just does not do what you press. And it's not like it happened once or twice. Like I said, probably 5% of the jumps, so like 1 out of 20 of your jumps is just simply not going to work inside the game. And that is a huge deal because it's not like it's often enough where he's like, okay, I'm always going to look out for it. It's like it's just unoften enough where you're not going to continually wait for it. And so it always misses you up. Like you're like thinking to yourself, I'm going to make the jump. It's going to be easy. And then it doesn't happen. You're like, oh, it's just that stupid jump again. And so it's a really takes back from the game here. If there's one thing I could change in the game, it would just simply be make the jump button work. And this game would be so much better than what it is if the jump button just worked 100% of the time instead of 95% of the time. But regardless, I finally make my way through the level here. I get on the exit screen, I collect the very first remote, and when you have the sort of the final result screen here, it shows the remote that you collected, but then it also shows you a hidden remote and a reward remote. Now the main remotes are all red, the hidden remotes and the reward remotes are gray. And to get the reward remote, you have to collect 120 items inside the level. And then the hidden remote is in a random location that you may or may not find your first time through. But between your 3 missions that you go through, you're probably going to find the hidden remote. Now, you don't have to find all the gray remotes in the game. You have to find probably like maybe half of them. You do have to collect every single red remote in the game. And there's going to be gold ones you have to get in a second. You have to get every single gold one as well. But the silver ones, they are optional as far as like every one of them to get. But at this point in the game, I didn't really realize you had to collect every single red remote. So I was like, let's have a change of scenery here. I journey off to the other world, which is going to be the Toon TV. I hop into this world here, and there are 3 missions for this. You can jump on the teetering rock, you can hunt 2 hunters, or you can whack 5 purple mushrooms. And it doesn't matter which mission you select. You can do whichever direction you want to. Once you hop in here, it's just simply going to show you that preview of where that mission is going to be. Now, this particular level is 100% based on Looney Tunes. Pretty much all the aesthetic here. You have anvils that fall from the ceiling. You have the ripoff of Elmer Fudd. You even have it saying something like Wabbit Season, like on a little side here. You also have like trees, or not trees. You have flowers that have hammers that come down and try to bash you as you're going through. Sharks and creeks, which I'm not really sure if that's part of Looney Tunes. But regardless, they are 100%. Oh, and the items you collect are carrots. They are 100% going for a Looney Tunes aesthetic here. This level is much more open. It's easier to get lost in, but it's not like overwhelmingly huge. Now, as far as like a comparison to the N64 version, all of the enemies from the N64 version appear to be in the Game Boy Color version as well. All the ones I just mentioned, they're also in N64. Even all the way down to like there's a bouncing smiley face, which doesn't even make sense in the Looney Tunes world. But hey, it's an N64 version. They put it in the Game Boy Color version to be as faithful as possible. Now, I'm journeying through here. I pretty much do the first mission, which is to get to the teetering rock. And once I do that, I've, of course, got my red remote, as well as got the collectibles here. And I've unlocked my first bonus level. Now, the bonus level, you go into it, and it's sort of the same aesthetic as the Scream level, the Haunted Mansion. And you're supposed to collect 50 of the little skulls here within a 3-minute time period. And normally that wouldn't sound that bad. However, every door looks the same. Every corridor looks the same. Sometimes you go into a door, out the door, back into that door, and you end up in a totally different location than you would have been at if you just simply go back into the same door you came from. And it's very easy to get lost. And I bet I spent like 30, 40 minutes in this one little bonus level trying to finally collect every single one of these skulls in order to get the bonus remote control. It is a very, very hard bonus level. There's no other bonus level in the entire game that is this hard, and it's the very first one that you encounter. They should have saved this for later in the game when you got some of the skills down pat a little bit better and sort of you knew the overall feel of the game. But regardless, go ahead and knock it out early and be downhill from here as far as bonus levels go. Now at this point I realize I need to have all 6 of the red remotes, so I head back to the Scream level. I do the second mission, which is to basically bust the blood coolers here. All you have to do is hop up on them and swing your little tail around, busts them open, and tells you how many you've got as far as like number wise goes, and then an individual television set opens up. Head out to that exit. Then the best mission in this entire level was to ride the haunted elevator. And for this one, there's a picture of Mona Lisa that says off above the elevator. You go, all right, so I got to turn it on. You have to find somewhere else in the level that has the picture of Mona Lisa, a smaller version, and then bust a bookcase underneath her to reveal a hidden lever here. You hit the lever, and then it's going to make the elevator go up and down to get you to your final exit. This is one of the best remotes inside the entire game because it like gives you a hint. There's a special mission you have to go on. So many of the remotes in the game is just simply find an exit inside the level, where this one's actually like making you think, at least just a little bit in the game. I'd say it's probably the best one. But regardless, once I have these, I go back to the Toon level, collect the rest of those, and now I have all 6 that I need to open up a new gate inside of the hub world to journey to my next area. Now, as far as like the next area in the hub world, it's going to look pretty much identical. They don't really mix the hub world up a whole lot. And speaking of not mixing it up, the first television I come across in the second hub world here is once again a Scream television set. So the same aesthetics all over again. Your missions here are to run the axe gauntlet, which is basically knights are dropping down their axes, and you simply have to rush underneath them to get to the end. Head down the ramp, which is pretty self-explanatory, and then stick across the Tower of Doom. And this is probably where the gameplay finally mixes up a little bit to more like traditional Gex here, because you can actually stick to the background of the level and traverse it that way, which is a huge aspect of the first Gex game. And when you're looking at a 2D Gex game, you need to be able to stick to the background wall to get this little extra animation, a little bit more immersive as far as like the Gex mechanics here. But as far as differences in the level, you're going to get like a fire pit areas you have to journey across. But for the most part, it's the same aesthetics as the first Scream level. And then our second newly opened area in the hub world is going to be the Kung Fu Theater. And there are 2 missions here: to defeat the Deadly Dragon, as well as traverse the steps. Traverse the steps, really simple. You just simply go up some steps here. But to defeat the Deadly Dragon, this is truly ridiculous in the game. He takes like maybe 10 to 15 hits to take out, and there's a little cannon that you have to hop on in order to shoot a cannonball out at him, and he's also shooting like little flames at you at the same time. And it wouldn't be that big of a deal. You simply hop over the flames, hop on the cannon, good to go. However, like I said earlier, there's a 5% chance when you jump you won't jump, and so therefore this here took me I would say a solid 10 or 15 minutes to defeat this dumb little dragon, simply because I couldn't jump effectively or when I needed to inside the game. A unnecessarily difficult part that could easily have been remedied with some extra programming or some testing inside the game. There's also the idea as far as like different mechanics here. You do have some chained axes that you have to avoid as you go, and there's lots of these little gongs in the level. You have to whip your tail around, hit those, and it's going to unlock as far as like little staircases or like little steps, or make little doors open as you go as well. And so it's a nice little effect there. However, like whenever you hit a gong, it just seems like nothing happens because there's like a 3-second delay before it shows a cutscene of like what opened up. And I don't know if it's like a too much processing for the game, but you're already like moving along, and you like sometimes it feels like the game is sort of disjointed because of the extra delay. Not a huge complaint, but it seems like it could have been easily fixed. Now our third level that unlocks in this new hub world part is going to be the Central Circuit, and I really enjoy the title of this one. It's called www.com.com. I don't know, like some of the humor in the game, it does strike a little bit of a whack on the funny bone here. But regardless, you're in like a giant computer system and you're traveling through the circuit board, and it pretty much looks like a circuit board. You have like the little memory pieces in there. You have like the little ribbon cables you're trying to traverse. You have to charge yourself up as far as like electrified Gex. That's going to allow you to basically open up certain passages inside the level. You also have to run across like little soldering areas, and you can see like little sparks are going to come out and try to chase you as you go. Not a ton of new enemies. There's a couple little robots in there as well. But for the most part, there's not like a specific mission you have to accomplish. It's sort of like two different exits inside the level, and you simply have to find both of the exits on two separate runs in order to complete the www.com level. Now at this point, when I finished up the Central Circuit, I go back to the first hub world part, and I go ahead and get on the platform since I have the gold remote control here, and I go into what's called the prehistoric channel, which is going to take you obviously back in time to like to the dinosaurs and whatnot, and you have to navigate the river of fire. Now as far as this, like, it's a cool level. You obviously have the lava down below. You also have like little egg with legs on it. It's like the Sheldon, I think is the name in, or Shelder, I think it's Sheldon, in U.S. Acres from Garfield. Remind me a lot of that. You got pterodactyls, you got spiders, you got plenty of annoying jumps that you're going to probably mess up on because of that 5% rule I mentioned earlier. But as far as like aesthetic wise goes, the prehistoric levels are pretty darn good. I enjoy it as you're collecting like little bones as you go, like little skulls, or like little chicken legs or turkey legs. And so an overall good level that you're traversing here. But now that you got at least 9 of the red remotes, a third area is going to open up in the hub world here. It's going to look exactly the same, but we have new televisions that we can hop into. The first one's going to be yet another prehistoric one here. They call it a Pangea 90210. Fairly clever. I mean, this is the sense of humor that Gex had in the main games. He can't talk in this game, so they're going to have to include it in like the level titles and things like that. You have to assault the lava island, climb the volcano, and basically it's just simply 2 different exits in the level as you traverse it. You do get some giant dragonfly, which is a cool looking effect. I believe they're in the N64 version. I'll be honest, I never actually played the N64 or the PlayStation version of this game. It was just simply after I played the Game Boy Color version, I watched some footage of the N64 version to see how it compared, and I was like, holy cow, it is very, very similar here. But like I said, you got the dragonflies, and you also got these dancing strawberries, I guess is what it is. It's probably some sort of plant, but looks like a dancing strawberry. After you finish up the prehistoric level, you go back to the Toon TV again. You're supposed to climb the tree and storm the castle. Climb the tree, very boring exit. Storm the castle though, you have to go through and you have to click the little levers here. It's like a little, in the cartoons where you have a mallet and you slam it down. It goes up and hits the top. I haven't messed with carnivals as well. You got to hit one of those. It's going to raise the flag on the boat. Hop on the boat, head off to the castle, set yourself on fire as far as like eating a little firefly, and then hop on the actual firework, and that's going to basically allow you to storm the castle per se. A good little mission that mixes the pace up a little bit. We also get another bonus level for a gold remote. You have to find 31 noodle packets in a China level here, and it's really, really simple, way easier than the first gold remote level. You just simply follow a set path, collect the packets, you got it beat. Probably first or second try. But now that we've gotten 2 gold remotes, I can head back to the original hub world and I can go into a Scream bonus level, and we can get another red remote by simply doing the mission of what's called Ride the Floating Furniture. And you guessed it, there'll be floating furniture, and you ride it to the end. Very, very simple. Now at this point we do have at least 13 of the red remotes, so we head off to our next gate. We ride a little elevator up here, and we head into our next Kung Fu area, which is going to be called Samurai Night Fever. You know, nice little pun again. And you do have samurais you fight against, and fairly ferocious little warriors come after Gex here. But as far as like mechanics to achieve the missions, it's exactly the same. Springboard off these little piece platforms, try to hit the gongs, open up different levels, open up different doors, traverse these platforms with your poor jumping mechanics, and find the 3 exits. Pretty much all there is to that one. You do get the third bonus level here, which is going to be the circuit area, and you have to find 50 little circuits or 50 little conductors here along the way. Also very straightforward. All these bonus levels are way easier than that very first one inside the Scream level. Then we have the level 18 gate that has opened up because we've collected enough of the remote controls. Prehistory, once again, the only thing that they add in here is you got like a little raptor that's going to come out and try to attack you, as well as like these little steam vents that you have to hop on, and they'll shoot you way up in the air, sort of like the geysers at Yellowstone. Outside of that, pretty much the same. Then you have another Circuit Central called Honey, I Shrunk the Gecko. Once again, living up to those 90s references that Gex is so well known for. Basically, find 3 separate exit out of the level. You have to electrify yourself and explore probably a little bit more than usual because it's a little bit larger of a level, but it's pretty much the same. Another Scream level after this called Poltergex. Their sense of humor is what it is. You have to ascend the ghost tower, which is actually pretty tough. There's a lot of little ghosts along the way, and usually the ghosts you can't kill, but these particular ones, when they throw the little head at you, you can jump up there and tail whip them and take them out. You have to smash 8 different blood canisters. That's what the crap. I've said that same word in another video, canisters, where I combine canister and container together. Canisters is just that's just a new word for the channel, canisters. But you have to smash 8 canisters here in order to achieve that mission, as well as reach the top of the morgue. And there's actually like a little coffin you have to like push into the wall. So there's like a little morgue in this level, and I got all 3 missions done pretty well, or pretty easily, but I was trying to collect the 120 items, and I wandered endlessly in this level trying to find all 120. I couldn't do it. I finally gave up after like an hour maybe. If you know how to find, or you've been able to find all 120 items in this level, let me know in the comments down below. Is there like a secret area that I missed out on? I don't know. Let me know if it's even possible, because I tend to think there's a mistake in the game and you cannot get 120 items. And that's actually why you don't have to collect all of the silver remotes in the game. You have to collect all the red ones. You have to collect all the gold ones. But silver ones, they're optional. And I think it's because they didn't actually include 120 items in some of these levels. But regardless, now we have at least 26 of the red remotes. We can ride the elevator up to Rez's mouth rock statue here that you can go into. It's really funny. Like, those are a trope in a lot of video games back in the time. Have like a cavern or a statue of the enemy's face on it you journey into. Is like in Banjo-Kazooie. It was in well, to prove my point, I have no other games to say, but I know it's in other games as well, and you can let me know if you can think of some off the top of your head. But in this area, you do journey off to Rezopolis, which is the obviously the leader or the evil guy's world here. The title of the level is No Weapons at a Funeral. I don't get that one. Is there some movie referencing I'm missing here? I don't know. I didn't quite catch that one. But you have to find your way into Rez's inner sanctum here and basically get to the end of the level. And this is a cool looking level as far as like aesthetic wise goes. There's like broken down TVs all throughout. Looks sort of like a nightmare area, almost like a purgatory of like broken down television shows. I don't know. It's an interesting little aesthetic that they have here. Then we have 2 more missions that we have to go through, Bugged Out, as well as Amazed and Confused. And both of these are a bonus level, another expansion upon this same overall aesthetic here. And then we get to the final level of the game. We can go into what's called Channel Z, which is going to be to defeat Rez in a final battle. And as you're journeying through here, Rez is going to follow behind you, try to attack you. You simply have to whip your little tail around here, hit him a couple times, he disappears, continue through the level, he reappears again, tries to, prevent you from making jumps, make your health go away, things like that. Go through this little portal here, and then you have the final boss showdown of Rez. He's in his little conductor area in the center, and all you have to do is hop on a button on the left-hand side. It drops a block down on him. Rush off to the right-hand side, hop on that button, drops a little block down on him. We're going to go back and forth between the two until he's hit like maybe 15, 20 times, and then Rez is killed off. As far as I know, Rez does not attack you at all in this area. I didn't ever get a single attack. I never got him to do anything. Like, talk about the easiest boss fight to have ever existed. And then when you defeat him, it does say, great job, thanks for playing, and it's signed off the Gex team. And then you have the credits that roll after that. There's no credit music as far as like new music. There is music that plays in the background, but it's the same music that's throughout the entire last level here. And speaking of the music in this game is pretty terrible. There's not a single song throughout the entire game that like got caught in your head a little bit. And it's a real shame because some of the levels had like a really unique aesthetic for it. And then since they repeat so often, a really catchy tune would have gone a long ways. But the music is pretty terrible throughout the entire thing. And at this point, you have finished up Gex Enter the Gecko. But let's talk about the game as an overall. Now, I do not hate this game. There are a lot of flaws in this game, but this is a very ambitious game, and it does feel like it has a lot going for it. I do enjoy like the hub world. I enjoy collecting things. I enjoy unlocking other levels, exploring those levels. I do feel like they should have made it somewhat of a optional as far as like you don't have to collect every single red remote. Maybe like collect 80% of them to unlock different areas. No other collectifying game makes you collect every single thing to just simply reach the regular end of the game. That's a completionist run. This game makes you sort of go in a completionist area, except for the silver remotes. I'd like to have seen that fixed. Also, the music in the game, that would be a huge plus to have been fixed there as well. And then, but I guess the biggest complaint is just simply going to be that jumping mechanic. The idea that it does not work sometimes is pretty much a game breaker in a lot of cases. Like I said, probably only 5%, but that's just enough to be annoying and really ruin the overall experience for a lot of players out there, myself included to a degree. But as far as like an overall game, I did like the game. I can't help it. I enjoyed the overall aesthetic. I've always been a fan of like Gex in general, ever since like growing up, going to my friend's house. I even had like a shirt growing up. It wasn't Gex, but it was Ocean Pacific. Had like geckos all down the sleeve. I liked geckos as a kid. Gex was right down my alley, you know, sort of snarky. I don't know. Gex, I have a soft spot in my heart for. I like the game as an overall, but it is far, far from perfect. But it is very ambitious. So I'd probably give this game on a scale of 1 to 10. If the jumping mechanic was fine, it would obviously be higher. But since the jumping is broken, I feel like a 5.5, 6 is probably as high as it's going to be able to get. But like I said, if the jumping mechanic was better, the game would be a heck of a lot better. But what do you all think? Did you enjoy Gex, Enter the Gecko? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Check out my other videos listed up above and go out there, find a great game to play. Simply have a great rest of the day.